A very good evening to you, Albury. My name is James Parker and I'm part of the field team for the Coalition for Marriage. I'd hoped to be able to be with you tonight, but I'm afraid that Adelaide has stolen my presence. But hey, let's be honest, if you've got Lyle's presence, what more do you need? I just hope this evening is a really wonderful occasion, and again, I'm sorry that I just can't be with you tonight. Why am I passionate about being with the Coalition for Marriage? Well, some of you may know and some of you may not know that for a time earlier in my life, I was very much involved in gay activism. I also had the opportunity to be a part of and to very much live out a long-term monogamous committed gay relationship. One that I was so committed to that my now ex-boyfriend, of course, and myself were looking at getting a blessing over that relationship in the Netherlands. This is some 25 or so years ago. In those days, the gay community had absolutely no interest whatsoever in marriage. And bizarrely, you might find this, there are still very, very many in the gay community today who have absolutely no interest in marriage whatsoever. Anyway, I went on to end up becoming married to a woman and therefore living a committed long-term heterosexual relationship. And all I can say to you is this, the two are radically, radically different. And therefore, they should not and must not have the same name. In fact, I believe to give the name of marriage to a same-sex legally committed couple is to do a great injustice to them. We're hoodwinking them into believing they can have something that really can only belong to one man and one woman. So I believe that by voting no and supporting the Coalition for Marriage, we're very much on the winning team for everybody in the long term. Now, these are very challenging, and yet I also believe they're very exciting times. As I've travelled across the country, I've noticed this, among other things, that there's a sense of unity coming together at the very grassroots of our society that is very, very rarely seen across a nation. People are beginning to wake up and realise that they share common values and also common goals, and that they need to stick together to ensure that the freedoms of our nation, the things that we've often just taken for granted, that these are safeguarded and protected at every opportunity. Now, I only became an Aussie a few months ago, and I take my citizenship very seriously and the pledge that I made to this nation. And a key part of my citizenship test, let's not discuss that too much, was about the freedoms of this nation, the freedom of religion, the freedom of association, the freedom of speech, the freedom of assembly. And I therefore believe that we need to safeguard these at all costs across our land. Now, I've also been engaging with many people across the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer and intersex community. I normally say LGBTQIA+2S community, but I won't do that too much tonight. But as I've engaged with the men and women, some of whom are in long-term committed gay relationships, they've been saying to me that they don't want marriage either. They actually don't believe that two men and two women can be married. So clearly, as we've been discovering, there is without a question of doubt an ulterior motive and a hidden agenda to all of this. And I was part of a conversation in the Lesbian and Gay Centre in London some 2 or 3 decades ago, where in the midst of the conversation, I heard the Americans talking with the Brits about the fact that we were aiming for homo superiority, whereby it was important that members of the gay community infiltrated and took leadership in areas of society such as entertainment, such as the media, politics, the military, healthcare, particularly psychiatry and psychology, but also education, which we're now seeing through safe schools. And the final bastion that they wanted to bring down was sport. And I remember one of the guys saying, why is sport going to be the most difficult and the last one to come down? And the American guy replied, to play sport, you have to have a body. And the body declares male and female. And we need to get rid of all of that. I laughed at the time. I thought that will never, ever happen. And yet less than 3 decades later, here we are dealing with males and females and people questioning what male and female might be. A record number of children who are being referred to gender clinics and seeing, in a sense, the final knife being brought towards the heart of the bedrock of our society, which is the marriage of one man and one woman. Now, in the midst of all that's going on, there's a great unity being formed. And I also believe that we need to also retain an incredible sensitivity towards members of the LGBTQI community. And I'm sure you're in agreement with me on this. For many people in that community, they don't want a big blazing battle with the rest of society. They just want to quietly get on with their lives. But there are a militant select few in there who are out for war, and a cultural war at that. I hope that we learn a lot through this present battle that we're in, but I also recognize that we have a cultural war that we're engaging with. And I want to thank you for being there tonight, for being a part of this incredible movement across our nation. But I also hope that you'll be there for the long term, that you'll realize that although this is a battle, we are in the midst of a war, and it will mean giving of our everything to be able to preserve the goodness and the Judeo-Christian history that this nation is formed on. It's not just for us. People say it's not just for our kids, but for our grandkids. But actually, it's way, way more than that. It's for every Australian that is to come in the future. And it's to honour every Australian that's been here in the past. Now, I honestly and truly believe that we can count on each other as fellow Aussies to continue this journey. Support the coalition in any way you can. It particularly needs your financial contributions at this time, so I hope that you can give generously, as I know many people across the nation are doing. I wish you God's blessings this night. Let's keep fighting to the bitter end, knowing that saying no is for a greater yes.